So over the weekend, about 20 years of Western work in Afghanistan was wiped off the slate because the Taliban just walked in and took it, and there was no resistance whatsoever by the looks of it. Anyway, so the first thing to notice here was Biden talking about the Taliban. So he said that there was definitely never ever going to be a Taliban victory, and the fact that the idea that they were going to take over was not inevitable. Let's go over this first clip.
Is a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No, it is not. Because you have the Afghan troops have 300,000 well-equipped as any army in the world, and an air force, against something like 75,000 Taliban. It is not inevitable.
Do you see any parallels between this withdrawal and what happened in Vietnam, with some people feeling...
None whatsoever. Zero. What you had entire brigades breaking through the gates of our embassy. 6, if I'm not mistaken. The Taliban is not the North Vietnamese army. They're not remotely comparable in terms of capability. There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof of a embassy of the United States from Afghanistan. It is not at all comparable.
Definitely is not going to happen. There's going to be no Saigon-style airlift from the embassy in Kabul. Yeah, it didn't go well. If we go to the next one here, we got Mark Milley. You remember the guy who was talking about white rage, and he wants to understand white rage in the American army. Yeah, he gave an assessment of the situation. The Afghan security forces have the capacity to sufficiently fight and defend their country. No, they don't. They all defected or gave up. So things started going wrong with people leaking pictures of the Afghan army retreating because, why bother? And instead the Taliban just taking equipment from them. So let's go to the next one here. You can see this is footage of helicopters that they just walked in and took because, everyone had left. So ours now. If we go to the next one, you can see more helicopters. Oh, there should be a different link there, but it's, this one. You can see more helicopters being taken, the Taliban flag there. If you go to the next one as well, we got some guys just walking into some warlord's house. Like some mansion apparently he has that the American government has paid for. And Taliban are just like, well, that's neat. Ours now. And then we have the next one, which is just the guys inside, enjoying themselves, having a nice spot of tea. And if we go to the next one, you can see the guns that they've just stolen.
Ooh.
Piles and piles of American-brought guns.
Ooh.
American taxpayer paid for all of this, of course.
Just leave them behind.
Yeah. So if it wasn't the Americans leaving them behind, then it's the Afghan military just leaving, and therefore just leaving it behind, because they can't be bothered to fight the Taliban for some reason. If we go to the next one, this has got memed, which is some good memes. Yeah. Look at this. Anyway. So, the Taliban started advancing on the capital of Kabul, and the capital turned into absolute gridlock, because of course it did, because everyone was trying to leave. Although I am quite weirded out, because when you look at the polling, I don't really understand why people are so afraid of the Taliban when they talk about that they want the same things that the Taliban want in law, but we'll get into that in a bit. The president of Afghanistan also decided to just leave, because why stay? Yeah, everyone's abandoned the central government, the regime, the US and the West has been propping up, and so he was like, yeah, I'm out. See you later. I'm off. He said he left to prevent bloodshed, which...
No, to avoid bloodshed to himself.
Himself.
Yes, himself.
Yes. I don't know who else, because no one else was fighting the Taliban. Everyone was just giving up, so I don't know what bloodshed he thought was going to happen, except his own. There's also the next thing we got up here. So the Taliban are issuing statements about the situation. What I love is that the Taliban can issue statements on Twitter as well.
Yeah, but not Trump.
Not Trump.
Not Trump, no.
Trump banned. Taliban, they're allowed Twitter account. So the Taliban issued an order that said, the Mujahideen of the Islamic Emirates to enter Kabul in order to, quote, prevent chaos and theft shortly after the president had fled the country. Which, yeah. So they're just walking in. Apparently there was just no resistance. They're just like, yeah, we're just going to walk into the capital. No one's going to stop us. Great. They're also preparing for the Taliban arrival. So we go to the next link. These are images of women in some store, to show off dresses like advertisement. And some guys going down with white paint and just painting over the women in preparation for the Taliban turning up.
How progressive.
Very progressive.
Those women are obviously stereotypes.
Oh, God. Let's go with the vice president's statement as well, in which... So this is the guy who was working with the president, the one who fled. Apparently the vice president also went with him. So he issued a statement in here. He says, I will never, ever, and under no circumstances bow to the Taliban terrorists whilst he leaves.
Yeah, it's not bowing, he's running. That's why.
Okay, yeah, he never bowed.
He's technically correct.
Very good. So the Taliban are insisting that there will be no revenge against those who worked with the previous government. We can get the BBC link up so you can see Taliban spokesman told the BBC there will be no revenge. No one believes this because of the video evidence on the ground of them just knocking on the doors of everyone in the old government. And I don't think they're giving them a raise. I think they're going to shoot them, which is what has been happening. So we go to the next one here. You can see some guys noting that, yeah, all of the guys they served with, apparently they've been executed outside of their own homes. Yeah. Taliban ain't the good guys, but then again, there are no good guys in this situation by the looks of it. So Blinken, the guy in charge of the US Department of Defense, or whatever it is insisting that no, we didn't lose. We achieved our objectives, even though we just lost the whole country.
Well, if the objective's to lose the country, they've achieved it.
I suppose so. So US Secretary of State Blinken insists Afghanistan mission successful, rejects comparison between Kabul and Saigon, with the Americans retreating. Didn't last very long, because if we go to the next image, you can see, yeah, there's the image of Saigon, 1975, helicopter on the roof of the embassy, and then Kabul a couple of days ago. Same situation. It is exactly the same. Although I do love his idea that, yeah, we've been successful, well, what have we done? We've killed Al-Qaeda? Like, yeah, but you toppled the Taliban government, spent 20 years there, and that was just filler, was it? Like, you weren't doing anything else.
Opium farming.
Opium farming.
Yes.
I suppose so. But also, Osama bin Laden not being in Afghanistan, being in Pakistan. But no one ever mentions Pakistan, do they? But I do love that someone pointed out that this is probably going to be Biden's legacy, this image of just the helicopter over the embassy. Because, I mean, ultimately, what else are you going to remember Biden for? He's already said he's not running again.
He doesn't even remember himself, let anyone else remembering him. So.
I know, but he's got 2 more years. I mean, what is going to be bigger than the fact that the Americans just losing Afghanistan? 20 years of work. 1 week. Just evaporated. Completely gone. There's also some good memes coming out of this, so we can get the next one, so you can see. The violent but mostly peaceful transfer of power. CNN reporting there. The Taliban have also now walked into the presidential palace because, of course, the president had just left. And what's interesting about this, you can see, Shemaina Begum's lawyer just tweeted this. The boys are back in town with a picture of them in the palace.
Is that real?
That's real.
Oof.
That's the lawyer of Shemaina Begum.
Oh, okay, what does that tell you about that? So...
Big surprise, he's an Islamist. Shock. It's almost like Priti Patel when she talks about the activist lawyers.
Yeah.
Not just leftist activists.
No. Islam or fascist
activists. Yeah, and he's one of them. There's also some other stuff from him I've seen. It's not just that particular tweet. There's a bunch of others he's done where he's like, yeah, I'm glad they're taking over. Really, tells you all you need to know. So if we go to the next link here, you can see the map of Afghanistan. Apparently this is how the situation stands. Yeah. So most of this map wasn't red, Taliban controlled, and then within the week it's all gone, except certain areas of the center of the country. Which
that's actually one location that's got low threat.
Some mountain that no one's bothering with. But my understanding is this was made by Voice of America like the day before or whatever, the 15th of August.
Probably all red now.
Yeah, it's now all red because the Taliban have just taken it. So the horror of all of this is that they've even lost the north, as you can see. So the northern part all being red as well. So when the Americans went in, we at least have the Northern Alliance in the north that were fighting the Taliban. And now they've got nothing. They've literally left it in a worse state than they found it. Not good. Very bad. Some of the chaos that proceeded from all of this is also pretty horrific. So if we go to the footage here to show people. So this was last night, in which you can see the airport in Kabul just full of people walking around trying to find planes to leave. A lot of men.
Well.
Don't know where they are, but let's go to the next one. You can see even more of this chaos. People trying to get on a plane that's clearly full, and there's just tons and tons of people. Yeah. We go to the next one as well. You can see the Americans standing here, holding it. So this apparently is the last thing the Americans are holding, which is the airport and the embassy, although they might have left the embassy by now, which is just to get people out. They made like a deal with the Taliban or something, in which they were like, let us all leave, and we're good. We just want to get out. Yeah. Afghan people, not so much, though. So if we go to the next one, this is the morning. Still absolute chaos taking place. So you can see thousands of people trying to run towards the airport. You can also hear gunfire in this video. If we go to the next one, you can see even more of this chaos still taking place. Just people walking across the runway. You can also see some like planes landing, and they're still walking around. So if we go to the next one, should be able to see people pulling up. Yeah, it really, if this isn't Saigon-like, I don't know what is. Just thousands of people
it's like
trying
World
to
War
grab
Z with like zombies trying to climb up on a building.
Yeah, it actually is. A
It
better
doesn't look
comparison
like
is to World War Z.
Yeah.
So if we get the next one here, I think this is the landing. Yeah, you can see the plane either landing or trying to take off there. And helicopters and people just running around, trying to get on. I have to wonder, because I am seeing a lot of people here. And what were there, 300,000 people in the Afghan army against the 80,000 Taliban or whatever? How many of them are just like, yeah, I just want to leave now? It's like, if someone had fought the Taliban, maybe this wouldn't be happening. But if there's no political will, there's no political will, I guess.
Well, they don't have no mad lads.
No good mad lads.
Yeah, no good mad lads, as we will talk about later.
Yeah, the only good mad lad in Afghanistan right now is
If
British.
all of them are mad lads, we wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah, could have actually solved it. But it's pretty horrific. You can see some other footage here, people running with it. I don't know why these people thought running with the plane was a good idea. You can see some of them there trying to hold on.
Yeah, it's just going to be like 1,000 meters up in the air. All right, cool, just hang there.
Yeah, this didn't go well.
It's not a train, dude.
We're not going to show the footage, but there is footage going around of this plane taking off, and then you can see people falling off the side. It's horrible, but I mean, if you grab onto a moving plane, I don't know what they thought was going to happen, but yeah, absolute S show. So we go to the next one here. Just want to talk about Joe Biden. Remember this? You won't have to worry about my tweets when I'm president.
No, we got bigger things to worry about.
I think I prefer Tweety Man.
Yeah, less people die when it's just a tweet.
Yeah, when Orange Man is tweeting F around and find out, no problems.
No.
In fact, people respect the United States because they're like, well, I'm not going to find out, am I? Whereas now we have the man who you don't have to worry about his tweets, well, you don't have to worry about anything from him.
Well, yeah, the Afghans ain't worrying about him.
No. Although apparently the Americans do have to worry about his tweets, specifically the CIA, because he tweeted out the next image, you can get it up. It's, if you scroll down there, White House photo op of him trying to look tough. And as you can see in the corner, there's a bunch of screens. One of them is listed Doha. It's a Doha CIA station that they were denying existed. So he ended up doxing his own guys.
Oops.
Oh boy. But there's also the thing about all of this. That's the only thing they've done, is tweet images of Joe Biden. No one's actually hearing from Joe Biden. We've heard a lot more from the Taliban than we have from Joe Biden. So we get to the next thing here. You can see him, someone talking about this. We've heard more from the Taliban than Joe Biden. If you get the one after this up, you'll see that Biden's issued a statement saying he will be issuing a statement to the nation in the next few days.
It's not like it's an emergency or anything. Like, hang on, guys. We need to take a few days, chill out, gather my thoughts, take some medication.
My dementia medicine needs to
Yeah,
kick in.
exactly. Have extra dose.
I mean, my God, like you've just lost a country that you've been fighting in for 20 years, and you're like, yeah, give me a few days, bro, and then I'll issue a statement. I mean, I've seen some people saying he probably should just resign from all this, which he's not going to. But imagine if he did. I mean, to be honest, it'd be quite fitting, and then you just get.
I don't know. Maybe Kamala Harris would be a little bit tougher than he is.
Anyone would be tougher than he is.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Some of the people saying that he should resign includes Donald Trump. Of course, we have to go to someone tweeting out Trump's statement. Ian Miles Chung tweeting out Trump's statement here because, well, he can't tweet, can he? But the Taliban government
can, yes.
Yeah. So here's the statement. It's time for Joe Biden to resign in disgrace for what he has allowed to happen in Afghanistan, along with the tremendous surge in COVID, the border catastrophe, the destruction of energy independence, and our crippled economy. It shouldn't be a big deal because he wasn't elected. Oh, can't say that.
Oh, no. Blur that out.
Not my statement, YouTube. Donald Trump's statement, which I'm not going to complete.
Not even repeating, no.
Yeah. So, to be honest, it looks like Trump is leading the country more than Joe Biden.
Yeah.
He said nothing. He's just out of it. Like, he was saying stuff before, and now he's just busy, just elsewhere. Needs a few days to even just mention what's going on. God. The Taliban are also apparently coming up with a solution to incels, which is pretty stark.
Okay, let's hear it.
State-mandated GFs. So you can see here Dev posting, the Taliban are going door to door and making it known that all girls over the age of 15 will be assigned husbands.
Okay, well, I mean, that's one solution.
You can see Ellen Powell, remember from Twitter, Reddit, being like, tech companies, you're certainly full of incels. What are you going to do about it? Well, the Taliban have a solution. Literally state-mandated GFs. That's their policy. Except, of course, it starts at 15 because Islam.
To be fair, I would have expected it a lot lower for Islam, so I'm actually,
Yeah, I mean, it starts at 9 if you're following Islamic law.
Exactly. So 15 is actually like, you already had a very long time to look for a husband. It's time for us to help you out.
This is the progressive Taliban here.
Yeah.
And they certainly are progressive.
I mean, 4-year-olds can decide their own gender identity, so I think 15.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, we can't even dunk on the Islamic world at this point.
No.
Look at ourselves.
No.
I can see why they didn't want us. Anyway, let's look at the cost of this whole thing, because it's over now. That's the end of the war, by the looks of it. I don't know anyone who's stupid enough to run back in. So, yeah, that's the end of the Afghan war. We lost as the West, which I'm not happy to say. I mean, even as someone who doesn't like the Afghan war and, wants people home, but the way we've lost it is embarrassing.
Right. No, they definitely missed a beat.
But even if you can agree that number one, we should leave, and also number two, the way we have left has been a S show.
Well, I say we should have left, but it's actually instead a trap. So it's a famous strategy. What you do is you do a tactical retreat, you leave all the buildings behind, hide explosives in all of them, let all the henchmen cover all the places, spread out throughout the country, and then boom, taking out the entire Taliban, and then come back in.
I'm sure the US Army is looking for recruits for the strategy
That's
team.
so stupid.
Well, if they got Mark Milley in charge, I mean, anyone can do better than him, so your idea might actually work.
No, this idea's been around since gunpowder existed, 2,000 years ago. All right, Three Kingdoms period, they're already doing that. Basically, they lose the battle on purpose, retreat, but they leave everything behind, but they just put flammable substances and gunpowder everywhere, wait for them to move into the camp. Their guards are low because they just scored a victory, boom. Simple.
Although I have got a thought
Simple
in my mind.
as.
I had this discussion with Bo because the Doha Agreement, if you remember a year ago, they were having talks with the Taliban about peace, and the US, Trump, and the Taliban did sign a peace agreement. And what's interesting is they didn't invite the government of Afghanistan to the peace agreement talks. And in the peace agreement talks, they were like, yeah, the government of Afghanistan will release 5,000 Taliban prisoners in return for 1,000 Afghani prisoners. And they didn't tell the Afghan government. They were just like, yeah, you're just going to do this. So I don't know. Maybe the Americans were also just sick of the Afghan government, but that's just speculation. I don't have a clue. Anyway, let's get into the cost of this. So as you can see, this is an article about the cost of the war. 7,954 Western deaths in total. I'm just totting that up as fighters and aid workers and whatnot. 22,000 wounded, 19,000 being from the USA, 2,000 being from the UK. I mean, it must be tough if you know someone who served in Afghanistan, lost someone, or lost a limb or anything like that, because it literally was for nothing. I mean, for worse than nothing.
Yeah.
The Taliban ended up taking all the territory, including the north. There's also 66,000 Afghans who died on our side, 51,000 Taliban who died on their side, so we even lost the numbers war, which is sad. And also 47,000 civilians lost their lives in the whole thing. There's also the debt, of course, that is accrued by this entire thing. So the debt financed as of 2020 is listed at $2 trillion US dollars. $2 trillion. That's what's already paid for doing all this, which ended in nothing. Estimated interest costs by 2050 go up to as much as $6.5 trillion. I mean, it just sucks. Like, the amount of money that has been wasted just going into the desert to civilize what? Like, mountain people who think that pedophilia is normal. The United States has committed to pay healthcare, disability, burial, and other costs roughly for about 4 million Afghan and Iraq veterans, so more than $2 million on top of all that. But don't worry, lads. It was all worth it. You know why? Progressive Taliban. The Taliban have become progressives. The Taliban will respect the rights of women in Afghanistan, their spokesperson says.
The gender programs are working.
Don't worry. It was all worth it. We got women's rights out of all of this for Afghan women.
And I can totally believe it.
According to the Taliban. Yeah. We were spoken about this. Like, I feel like the Taliban's position is going to be that women are property, therefore don't have rights. Therefore, we will respect those 0 rights.
Yeah.
Absolutely none. But yeah, respect women. That was the point of all this, I guess. There's also just the polling on the ground, if you actually want to know what hearts and minds we've changed. So here's a Pew survey at the time that we were in charge. So it's not even when the Taliban are in charge. And just what do the people of Afghanistan think? 99% say they want Sharia. 96% say converting others to Islam is a duty. 94% say the wife is always obliged to do what the husband wants. 85% say stoning must be the punishment for adultery. 79% say death must be the punishment for apostasy. 39% say suicide bombing is justified.
I mean, to be fair, if you look at it logically, right, Sharia is just Islamic law. So if you're a Muslim, you can't really not follow Sharia. So the logic follows that all the rest just follow. It depends how pious you actually are. So the more pious you are, the higher the percentage you will be.
I understand, but it's the point of, like, we have this fantasy in our minds of, like, oh, we're going to go over there and they're going to become a liberal Western democracy or some crap. I mean, that was always the mission, to set up some kind of friendly state.
You see, all of those things that are actually things that make Islam anti-fragile is because they actually have such in-group preference. And, you know, if you're trying to leave the group, you basically die. So, yeah.
Yeah, which is why it's such a tough nut to crack and isn't going to be cracked, at least by anything we've done over the last 20 years, which is evident. So that's the funny thing on my mind. It's like, well, the Taliban are taking over. Yeah, what's different? I don't understand. I don't really get what they're going to do that's different except women going to school. If that's the only thing, I'm like, right. I'm not sure that was worth 20 years of warfare to go to this desert place in which we're just going to waste loads of our lives and money.
women going to school. I mean, what good did it do us? Right, jokes aside.
But I thought I'd just end on this with what did we learn about all of this? So, I mean, one thing we can learn, which is Pakistan delenta est. Death to Pakistan, in my opinion. The state, I cannot get over this. So this is just a perfect example of the whole thing. Of course, everyone knows that Pakistan's been funding the Taliban for decades upon decades, and this bites them in the rear sometimes when the Taliban invade them. But they don't care, they keep funding them. And this is some incident I thought I'd mention to perfectly crystallize why Pakistan deserves everything they get from this. The Kurdish Airlift, or the Airlift of Evil, as its nickname. So this is apparently when we invaded with the Americans, and we encircled loads of Taliban, and the Pakistani Air Force turned up and airlifted the Taliban out of Afghanistan to safety.
Okay.
Pakistan, our greatest ally in the region.
Well, I mean, Bin Laden wouldn't be found in Pakistan for no reason.
No. I mean, if anything can be learnt from all of this, it's that we cannot trust Pakistan with a length of string for them not to use it to then hang us or something. It is unbelievable the amount they have spent trying to undermine our efforts. And this is why I just dust my hands with the whole thing. She's like, well, should we have spent our years there and then trying to save the people as refugees to come to England to flee the Taliban? No, not really our problem.
Well,
we
expect more refugees after this.
Yeah, but there's the thing. I don't want to take any of them, except maybe the interpreters, because they work with us. Because it's the thing of like, well, we fought the Taliban, and the Pakistanis funded them endlessly. We would have succeeded if it wasn't for outside forces, let's say. That's an idea. And therefore Pakistan can take all of the problems that they have created. Enjoy your victory, because it isn't the West.
If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 PM UK time on lotuseaters.com.